Today we're going to be taking a closer look at Ilford's XP2 disposable camera. Let's get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and say that this video is a testament to doing your research before shooting a roll of film. Why is that, you might ask? Well, if I had taken my own advice before buying one of these, then I probably wouldn't have wasted half of the roll. I would have learned that maybe this guy doesn't really perform all that well in low light. Maybe the flash isn't quite as bright as you think it's going to be. But maybe, just maybe, you might accidentally take a pretty okay shot that makes this half of the roll at least a little worth it. So, like I said, without doing any research at all, I picked up one of Ilford's XP2 Disposables and brought it with me to a Chat Pile concert, where, in my opinion, I used it completely incorrectly. To prove this, let's compare my favorite shot from the concert itself to this random photo that I took waiting in line to get into the concert. I think this sort of speaks for itself. At least in the picture in line, you can see anything, and I'd say that the details render pretty good. Aside from framing, which is an issue that I'll kind of talk about later. But even in my favorite shot from the actual concert itself, this isn't even that particularly interesting of a photo, but at least you can see something. I think the tricky part for me that maybe I'm misunderstanding or I'm just inexperienced with, on the back of the camera, it tells you that when you're using the flash, your subject should be 3 meters away. Now, I'm no human measuring tape, but I would say this sweaty guy here is still less than 3 meters away, while the guy in the white shirt is even closer than that, and I would still say that he's not very blown out. In my experience, my contacts does really well in low light with the flash, and so I just kind of assumed that this flash would work at least relatively similarly. I know there's hundreds of dollars in between them, but what do I know? And so I digress, because the next day we had a drift event that we were going to, and I would say that I used the disposable in a much more appropriate setting there.
A roll. He's a 3-time champion. He wants to get another one.
With social media talking about it there, we've got interviews, we've got everything, but at the
Something that I did read ahead of time that I didn't really take into account when taking any of these shots is that this camera is always shooting at f/22 at 1/100th of a second. I feel like some of the photos were maybe a little soft sometimes, but this could definitely be due to me either moving or haze from all the tire smoke that kind of layered the entire event. Overall, I was really pleased with the daylight shots. I think this one photo of the BMW kind of turned out weirdly nice. I think the shine on the BMW works really well with this film. This photo of the two kids on the motorcycle I think turned out really nice. The framing ended up being quite nice, and I think the details in the clouds in the street all hold up really nicely. And this one shot of this guy in a wife beater looking out at this Mustang drifting, I think highlights one of my main issues that I have with this camera. I feel like when you're looking through the viewfinder, which obviously isn't actually a part of the lens, but I still feel like the frame isn't really accurate at all for what the photo is actually taking. I would have to say I think for almost every single shot I felt better about the composition if you cropped in about 10 or 15%. The drift event itself was also incredibly interesting. They only took one piece of B-roll on this camera right here, and that is this clip right here. So yeah, that was really shocking to see, but he was completely okay. He got out about 4 seconds after that. So yeah, I think all in all, I enjoyed it enough to have bought a second one. And so this one I will not be shooting in the dark. Definitely almost full sun for every photo that will be taken with this guy. And yeah, go ham.